Welcome to my channel. Last night, football gave us another unforgettable chapter in the story of El Clásico. When the final whistle echoed around the stadium, it was FC Barcelona who walked away with the victory, defeating Real Madrid by 2-0. It was more than just another result. It was a statement, a moment of authority, and a night that will stay in the memory of supporters for a very long time. Barcelona's win also confirmed their control of the occasion, with early goals from Rashford and Ferran Torres helping seal the result. Whenever these two giants meet, the world watches. El Clásico has never been just a football match. It is history, rivalry, pressure, emotion, pride, and identity all packed into 90 intense minutes. Every pass is judged, every mistake becomes magnified, and every goal carries a meaning far beyond the scoreboard. That is why last night felt so important. The stakes were enormous, and both teams stepped onto the pitch knowing that the night could define how this season would be remembered. From the opening whistle, Barcelona looked sharp, composed, and completely aware of the moment. Their body language suggested belief. Their passing was quick and purposeful. Their movement without the ball was intelligent. There was no hesitation. There was no fear. They played with the confidence of a side that understood exactly what needed to be done. Real Madrid, on the other hand, entered the match knowing they had to be brave. Against Barcelona, sitting deep for long periods can become dangerous. The pressure builds, spaces open, and the crowd begins to feed the momentum. Madrid tried to stay compact in the opening minutes, but Barcelona immediately found rhythm. Their midfield moved the ball with speed. Their wide players stretched the defensive line, and very early in the game it became clear that the home side intended to take control. That control turned into the first major moment of the night. In the 9th minute, Barcelona found the breakthrough. Rashford stepped up and produced a superb free kick that beat Thibaut Courtois. It was one of those moments that instantly changes the emotional temperature of a stadium. 1 second there is tension. The next second there is an explosion of sound, celebration, and belief. Rashford's finish gave Barcelona exactly the start they wanted, and it forced Real Madrid into a more uncomfortable situation much earlier than they would have preferred. The goal also changed the tactical picture. Before the opener, Madrid could remain patient and wait for their moments. After going behind, the game demanded more initiative from them. They needed to push a little higher, commit a few more players forward, and take greater risks. That, naturally, created more space for Barcelona to attack. And Barcelona did not wait long to punish them again. Only minutes later, Ferran Torres doubled the lead. The move was quick, intelligent, and full of clarity. Barcelona attacked with confidence, moved the ball decisively, and finished with the kind of efficiency that defines big matches. Suddenly the score was 2-0, and the entire atmosphere had shifted. Madrid were not simply behind. They were under pressure, chasing the game, and now facing the possibility that the night could slip away rapidly. At 2 goals down, Real Madrid had to respond. That is what makes the club famous. Their history is built on resilience, comebacks, and moments of defiance. For a while they tried to regain composure. They kept possession better, attempted to push higher, and looked for quicker combinations through midfield. There were moments when they began to find pockets of space. There were moments when the rhythm briefly became more balanced. But Barcelona remained calm. That may have been the most impressive part of the performance. They did not panic. They did not lose shape. They did not become emotional in a way that disrupted their structure. Instead, they continued to defend with intelligence. Their pressing was coordinated. Their midfielders stayed compact. Their backline read the danger well. It was mature football, and in a match of such intensity, maturity can be just as important as flair. One of the biggest differences between the two teams was efficiency. Barcelona took their moments. Real Madrid struggled to convert promising situations into real danger. They had possession spells. They tried to attack. They searched for a way back. But too often the final pass was missing. The finishing touch was not there. Or Barcelona simply defended the key areas with discipline. That frustration began to grow. You could feel it in the pace of Madrid's decisions. Sometimes they tried to force passes that were not really available. Sometimes they shot too early. Sometimes the movement ahead of the ball lacked the sharpness needed to break a well-organized defensive structure. Barcelona sensed that frustration and managed the match intelligently. The midfield battle was especially important. On nights like this, control in the center of the pitch often decides everything. Barcelona circulated the ball well, changed angles of attack, and kept Madrid moving. Even when they did not create immediate chances, they forced their opponents to chase. Over time, that takes physical and mental energy away from a team that is already behind. It is also worth talking about the psychological side of the match. Football at this level is never purely tactical. Confidence matters. Momentum matters. Emotion matters. Once Barcelona established their early lead, every successful pass seemed to strengthen their belief. Every missed opportunity for Madrid seemed to increase the pressure. That is the invisible side of elite football. It cannot always be measured by statistics, but everyone watching can feel it. By halftime, the score remained 2-0, and Barcelona had given themselves a powerful platform. The second half then became a different kind of test. Protecting a lead in El Clásico is not easy. Real Madrid were always going to come out with urgency. They had to take risks. They had to attack with greater commitment. They had to try something different. To their credit, Madrid did show more aggression after the break. They pressed higher and attempted to disrupt Barcelona earlier in the build-up. There were moments when they pushed the game into more chaotic territory, hoping that unpredictability might create openings. But Barcelona handled that period very well. They did not always dominate possession in the same way as during the opening phase, but they controlled the emotional rhythm of the game. That is often a sign of a team that understands how to win big matches. They knew when to slow things down. They knew when to play direct. They knew when to keep the ball. They knew when to accept that defensive concentration was more important than attacking ambition. The defensive discipline deserves recognition. Keeping a clean sheet against Real Madrid is never simple. The attacking quality on the other side is too strong. Yet Barcelona stayed compact and alert. They limited clear chances, protected the central areas, and forced Madrid into less comfortable attacking positions. As the second half continued, you could sense that Madrid needed one goal to reopen the contest. One goal could have changed everything. One goal would have transformed the final minutes into a storm of pressure and emotion. But that goal never arrived. Instead, time began to work in Barcelona's favor. Every minute that passed made the mountain steeper for Madrid. Every clearance was celebrated. Every recovery of possession brought another wave of confidence from the crowd. That is the beauty of football in big stadiums. The atmosphere becomes part of the game. Noise becomes energy. Energy becomes momentum. For Barcelona supporters, the final stages of the match must have felt like a growing realization that something special was unfolding. Not simply victory over a historic rival, but a victory delivered with clarity, control, and conviction. When the final whistle finally came, the scoreboard told the story. Barcelona 2, Real Madrid 0. It was a deserved result. For Barcelona, this was a night of authority. They were the better team in key moments. They were sharper early on. They were more efficient in front of goal. They defended with maturity. They controlled emotion better. In a rivalry where tiny details can decide everything, Barcelona won many of those details. For Real Madrid, this will be a painful defeat. Losing in El Clásico is always difficult. Losing without scoring makes it harder. There will be questions. Could they have started with more aggression? Could they have reacted better after the first goal? Could they have found more creativity in the final third? These are the conversations that always follow nights like this. But there's also a broader perspective. Football seasons are long. Great clubs respond. Real Madrid have built their reputation by absorbing setbacks and coming back stronger. This result will hurt, but it will also become motivation. For Barcelona, though, the night belongs entirely to them. They showed personality. They showed tactical intelligence. They showed discipline. And perhaps most importantly, they showed belief. That belief could be seen in the opening minutes. It could be seen in the reaction after each goal. It could be seen in the way they defended the lead. Big teams do not simply win matches. They understand moments. Last night, Barcelona understood the moment better. Marcus Rashford's free kick will be remembered. Ferran Torres' finish will be remembered. But what many supporters will remember most is the overall feeling of the performance. It felt complete. It felt mature. It felt like a team that knew exactly how much the night mattered. That is what makes El Clásico unforgettable. It is not just about numbers. It is about the emotion that surrounds them. And last night, those emotions belonged to Barcelona. For neutral fans, it was another reminder of why this rivalry continues to capture global attention. Every era changes. Players come and go. Coaches come and go. But the intensity remains. The expectation remains. The sense that history is always close remains. For young fans watching around the world, this was another chapter added to a rivalry that has defined generations. Years from now, many will still remember where they were when Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 2-0 on this dramatic night. Football moves quickly. New matches arrive. New storylines begin. New debates emerge. But some nights stay longer. This was one of them. Barcelona walked onto the pitch under pressure, with expectation, with the weight of history, and with the eyes of the world upon them. They walked off as winners. They walked off having controlled the biggest stage. They walked off with pride, celebration, and a performance worthy of the occasion. And for Real Madrid, the lesson was clear. In football's biggest rivalry, a slow start can become a very expensive mistake. That is the story of last night. Barcelona were brave. Barcelona were efficient. Barcelona were composed. Barcelona were deserved winners. And when the lights went down after the final whistle, the headline was simple. El Clásico belonged to Barcelona. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of last night's El Clásico, make sure to support the channel. Stay tuned for more football stories, and I'll see you in the next video.